It's a few minutes past 1. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We very well may have a few extra people join us, which is perfectly okay. But I wanted to welcome you guys to a nursing information session. So, what we're going to be covering is a little bit of everything you possibly would want to know about the nursing program at Hack. And then we will make sure that you understand everything from admissions to requirements, a little bit about costs and the application and all of that. So we're gonna go through that over the course of the next, I hope, probably less than 2 hours, but based on questions and other things, it may take a little bit. So we're going to go through a PowerPoint that Ms. Shirk sent out yesterday if you RSVP'd. If you did not get the PowerPoint and you want it, by all means, put your email address in the chat. And Ms. Shirk is with us here today, and she can make sure that you get that PowerPoint because everything I'm sharing it has links in it and has information, and I don't want you to feel like you have to write everything down or memorize it. The PowerPoint will help you quite a bit with that. So that's what our plan is. If you have questions, do not hesitate to ask. Okay, we'll pause occasionally and take questions over each section just to be sure that we're covering everything. Some of it is going to be important for you in terms of dates and some of that. So again, all that's in the PowerPoint. We do have one of our current nursing students with us right now, Elizabeth. I saw, and she is here also to help answer questions and to give you a student's perspective on some of this as well. But my name is Mark Lieb. I'm the director of the nursing programs on the Harrisburg campus. So I oversee the PN and RN programs at Harrisburg, but HAC has other nursing programs on other campuses. And I just want you to know that what we're going to cover today is not specifically Harrisburg only. It covers the general requirements of any of the campuses. Okay. So, oh, Michelle's here also, and she's one of our evening program students. So we're going to talk about the different programs and what they look like and all of that. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. So we're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and we'll kind of work our way through the PowerPoint. You guys able to see?
Yes.
All right. So what we're going to look at is, of course, what is the nursing program at HAC and how is it set up and all of that. Well, just so you know, we at HAC have a one college, one program model, which basically means that no matter what campus you attend, the nursing program at HAC is the same. So the requirements are the same, the expectations are the same, the courses are the same. What might differ is days of the week of classes or timing of clinicals or clinical locations or some of that things. We're not going to ask you at Harrisburg to drive all the way to Gettysburg for clinical. And just like them, they're not going to ask their students to drive all the way to York or Lancaster. So that's where the differences lie. But we are a one program model, and we're overseen by a dean, Dr. Megan Brightbill, and we have a nursing department chair as well, Cindy Donnell. And Cindy's job is to oversee all four campuses of nursing and make sure that we're all doing things consistently. So that's how we're kind of set up. Now, in terms of nursing itself, and what we offer here at HAC, we offer two pathways to nursing. The first is our practical nurse program, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. At the end of a practical nurse program, you earn a certificate. And then we also offer a registered nursing pathway where you can earn your RN degree. Now, different programs offer diploma in RN. You can get an associate's degree in RN. You can get a bachelor's degree in RN, all depending on the place that you take that schooling. Here at HAC, the end result is an associate's degree. So you would earn an associate's of science in nursing. So either way, through any one of those three, diploma, associate, or bachelor's, you're going to be able to sit for your RN licensure. The only difference is what is the degree attached to that RN licensure. Okay, so here at HAC, it's an associate's degree. Now, the doorway opens. Now, we don't offer these things here at HAC, but just so you're aware, once once you do earn your RN, you have the opportunity to further your education. You can go back for your bachelor's degree, and then you can become a nurse practitioner, a nurse anesthetist, or a nurse midwife. There's a lot of opportunities in nursing for furthering your education, furthering your skills, and opening the door to greater opportunities for income and for the care that you give to patients. It starts though with the RN degree if that's where you want to head. So we at Hack do offer you that opportunity. Now, as we think about the difference between LPN and RN, I just want you to be aware that there are some differences. Basically, the RN has a higher level of responsibility. The RN is able to do some things that an LPN typically would not do. They care for more unstable patients. They have a greater responsibility set. They have a greater skill set. And that all comes with a larger education background, a little bit harder of an education background, and of course, then more pay associated with that. So the RN is going to practice at a slightly higher scope of practice than a PN does. But make no mistake about it, PNs work really hard. They do care for clients and they do make very good money. So it is not a difference between one is a nurse and one is not. They both are legitimate nurses. It's just the scope of practice and the education that goes into those two differences there. So, in terms of just making sure you understand, nursing is a science in the sense that we do value, of course, the sciences and the STEM profession. So, good reading skills, good biological science skills, math skills. Yes, you do have to have some basic math skills to be a nurse. You do calculate dosages and other things that help to make sure you're doing things safely. Most of your computerized charting and other work is done on some sort of electronic device. So you do need to have some basic computer skills, an ability to communicate with clients and with doctors and with other peers. And finally, the critical thinking skills. Now, that's something we develop in you over the program. So you may have good critical thinking skills. We're going to help you to develop those in nursing. What does it mean to make good decisions for your patient as a nurse? So some of that is things you'll work on throughout the program. Now, at Hack, we offer nursing on 4 campuses. We offer it at Harrisburg, we offer it at Gettysburg, Lancaster, and York. If you're familiar with Hack at all, we still do have a Lebanon campus. Lebanon does not offer a nursing program. You can take gen eds there, but you're not able to take any of the nursing courses at Lebanon. We offer a PN program, as I mentioned, and it's a 4 semester program on every campus. And 3 of our campuses offer the PN program. If you notice, currently Gettysburg does not offer a PN program, but any of the other 3 campuses do. Now, as far as the RN pathway goes, there's different ways to get to the end. So what will happen is when you're considering applying to the Hack Nursing program and you complete the application, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, one of the things you're going to do in that application is to tell us what campus and program is important for you to be accepted into. And you're going to prioritize those. Once we make selections, you will be accepted into a specific campus and a specific program based on what you've selected as your priorities. So once you're in a program, that program and campus is yours until you step out of it, either voluntarily or involuntarily. If you step away from the program and campus, then you can transfer to another program or campus, but ultimately you're following a specific pathway to the RN. And we're going to talk about what the differences are. But in terms of the pathways you can choose, one is the 4 semester traditional program. And we'll talk about that. But it is offered at Harrisburg, Gettysburg, and Lancaster. York does not offer a 4 semester traditional option. We have an 8 semester day option. That 8 semester day option is offered only at York. We have an 8 semester evening option, and that is offered at all 4 campuses. And then finally, we have a 4 semester weekend option, and that is offered at the Harrisburg campus only. All of these pathways take the same courses, have the same expectations. The only difference is the timing of when you take the courses and the semesters that you take them in. That's what's going to differ. Okay. But the actual program is the same. It's just a different pathway to get there. Classes in the nursing program are concept based. And what that really means in simplest terms is we're not going to just teach you every single disease and every single medication and ask you to memorize everything you possibly could. That's more how doctors are educated. We teach them everything they need to know about every potential disease, signs and symptoms, treatments, everything, because they need to diagnose and they need to prescribe medications. But that's not really the role of the nurse. What we want you to be able to do is go into a patient's room, recognize what is happening with the patient, be able to understand what needs to be done, and prioritize your care appropriately. So we do that with concepts. And what that means is we're going to teach you about the concept of perfusion. What is needed in the body for good perfusion? How do you know a client has good perfusion? How do you assess good perfusion? When a client has bad perfusion, what does that look like? How will I know if my patient's exhibiting poor perfusion? And then what can I, as a nurse, do about poor perfusion? The good news for you is if you start to learn those concepts, we're going to also supplement that with different disease processes that affect perfusion, like a thrombus or a heart attack or a stroke or something like that. But ultimately, if you can recognize perfusion and do something about it, it doesn't matter what's causing the poor perfusion. You will know how to care for that client. So by teaching you concepts, you're applying that to any patient with poor perfusion, regardless of the cause. So it's a better way to educate nurses than just strictly memorizing diseases and testing you on those. We do try to involve a flipped classroom in most cases, which means you're not going to hear straight lecture. You're going to have case studies. You're going to have group work. You're going to utilize videos and hands-on learning and simulations and other things to supplement your learning. We do have on all 4 campuses a high fidelity simulation lab that utilizes all kinds of mannequins and other things to enhance your learning. You'll practice your skills and demonstrate them. We have high fidelity sim mannequins that can talk and can bleed and have blood pressures and all the things that you would like to learn on in a safe environment before you begin caring for clients in a real environment. So all of that is part of your skill building, your confidence building, and your ability to kind of gain the experience you need to practice nursing in the clinical setting. So, what does clinical look like? Well, when we speak of clinical in the nursing program, we're talking about the hands-on portion. Theory involves the learning, right? The in the classroom learning. Clinical is when you actually go to facilities and you care for clients. You assess them, you give them medications, you do care, you do skills on them because that's what nurses do in the workplace. So, beyond the clinical lab are your clinical experiences. And most of those are going to take place within about a 30-minute drive of your home campus. So, if you were accepted at Lancaster, the vast majority of all of your clinical experiences, if not all of them, would be within about 30 minutes of the Lancaster campus. At Harrisburg, it would be within about 30 minutes of Harrisburg, and so on. But we utilize everything from large hospitals to clinics to outpatient facilities. The PN program goes to prisons. We do a lot of different types of care to give you experiences in a lot of different areas. So you're going to see a little bit of everything throughout the program. I'll pause here. Any questions yet about anything? I'm going to dive into more detail about a lot of those programs I talked about, but is there anything at this point that kind of sparked a question in your mind? If you do, you're also free to put them in the chat if you would like. Sierra and the students can also do a good job of kind of working on those as well. So don't hesitate to put them in chat if you have a desire to do that as well. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the practical nursing program now for just a couple minutes, and then we'll move on to the specifics of the RN program. So, as I kind of mentioned before, the practical nurse is providing basic nursing care. They work under the direction of the RN and the physicians. They're part of a care team. LPNs can work in almost any area, and we use them quite a bit in acute care settings. My background is emergency nursing, and we always used LPNs in the emergency room. I know they have LPNs in ICUs and in all kinds of other areas. So, in terms of where you can work as an LPN, pretty much anywhere. You are going to be able to work rotating shifts and holidays and weekends. All of that is kind of part of that initial job requirement. Currently, new grads are earning about $50,000 a year or more. So, in the $25 an hour range without much difficulty at all. You can obviously increase that earning potential by going on for higher education. In terms of HACS PN program, there's a lot of PN programs across the area. We are recognized as having the highest PN pass rate in the state, which we're very happy with. That basically means when our PN grads go to take their licensure exam, which everyone has to take, our first time pass rate is exceptionally high. You're going to see it later. It's like 95%. So 95% of all of our PN grads pass the NCLEX on the first try. We have a 15-month program, 4 semesters. It is also a program that moves very easily into our RN program. Every course within the PN program transfers and translates directly into the PN program, or I'm sorry, the RN program, which can significantly decrease the time if you earn your PN and then want to go on for your RN. So there is an advantage there as well. If the PN is somewhere you'd like to start and then see how that goes and transfer into the RN program, very easy transition between HACS PN and RN program. So the time commitment, as I mentioned, is 4 semesters. It is a 4 consecutive semester program. So students start in fall with their first semester, and then they go for spring, summer, and a second fall. So 4 consecutive semesters. And as of now, the next PN program that will start is in August of 2024. So it's a fall 24 start for the next PN program. Make no mistake about it, it is a time intensive program. The first semester is pretty slow, and then after that first semester, it picks up quite a bit in terms of time commitment. Most semesters after the first semester require a 4 to 5 day a week commitment. Okay. So, what that looks like is in theory, you're going to have about 3 hours of theory a week in the first semester, and then about 6 hours a week of theory in the spring and in the fall. And then for summer, because the college is closed on Fridays, we have all of our theory on one day. It's a long 8 hour Monday. So it becomes a very long theory day. Clinical is 3 days a week starting in the spring. So in the spring and the second fall, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday with class on Tuesday, Thursday. In summer, it's class on Monday with a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday clinical. So you can see the time commitment for 8 hours a day, 3 days a week is 27 hours plus another 6 hours of class. You're looking at 30 plus hours of school commitment in the PN program per week. That's a big commitment. Okay. So it's not that the PN program is not possible. It certainly is. I just want you to know that if you're going to the PN program, especially after the first semester, time commitment is something you need to take into consideration if that's the pathway you want to go to. What will the sequencing look like? You'll see this for all of the programs. So this is not the first time you'll see a table like this, or the last time. But once you're accepted into the program, you'll begin in the fall of 2024, as I mentioned. All of the required nursing classes are in black. Those are not transferable, meaning you can't take them in other semesters. This is the progression for the PN program. Remember how I said you're accepted into a campus and a program, and then you go through that pathway? Well, this pathway mandates that these are your three courses in fall, these are your three courses in spring and summer and fall. You can't move those, you can't adjust those, you can't get them done quicker. These black ones are non-negotiable. The blue ones are the gen eds that are required within the program, and they are negotiable. They don't have to be specifically done in the semesters as indicated here. What I do want to point out, and you'll see this with every nursing acceptance, is that Biology 121 is the hard stop. If you do not have Biology 121 completed successfully, by the time nursing courses start, you will not be able to take those nursing courses. So your biology has to be done. Your first A and P has to be done by the time your nursing courses start. Okay. And in terms of transitioning from an LPN to an RN, I just want you to be aware of that. I told you about the idea that it is stackable. What that means is if you meet criteria, it's a 1-to-1 correlation. All of your nursing courses, this here, you'll gain immediate credit for because you took them in the PN program. What that leaves you with is just 4 RN nursing courses to take and 4 gen eds that are added to the RN that are not part of the PN. So you could get the RN program finished in as little as 2 semesters after the PN program. So it's a very easy pathway from PN to RN if that's something that you would be interested in doing. I just wanted you to see that the stackability means that you gain immediate credit for all of these courses and would only need to take 4 RN courses and 4 gen eds if you haven't taken them already. If you're a graduate that has an LPN from HAC 2019 or earlier, or any other PN program, the stackability does not apply to you. It's only grads from 2020 and more recent of the HAC program. But what it does allow is what's called advanced standing. If you're an LPN and you're seeking to come to HAC's RN program, we will still allow you to test out of certain courses. And these are done through certain exams we give you that then allow you through proficiency on this exam to demonstrate you still have the knowledge. And if you still have the knowledge, we will give you immediate credit for these courses, and you will not need to take them in the RN program as an LPN. That does allow you in some cases to shorten your RN to as little as 3 semesters instead of 4. So it is a way as an LPN to earn your RN and do it a little bit quicker. You may not get the 1-to-1 stackability of the new LPN program, but you still can test out of certain courses. I'll pause here. Any questions about the PN program or anything I've covered up to that point?
Hey, Mark, Natalie had a really good question about the T's
Yeah.
testing in the chat. Let me read it to you.
All right, go ahead.
Uh, she said she has a bachelor's degree and she's asking would she still need to take the T's test? And I wasn't sure on that.
I'm going to talk about that in a little bit here. So it's a great question, but to answer Natalie's question now, the answer is yes, you will. The T's is required for every new applicant.
Awesome.
You're welcome. All right, so let's move on to the RN program if there's no other questions. And what we're now going to look at is some of the specifics of the programs, how the pathways of how you get to the RN, and then we'll jump into the requirements of the program and all of that good stuff. So, in terms of the RN, as we've mentioned already, RNs plan, coordinate care. They do work as part of a team, usually with a physician, an aide, an LPN to help care for clients. They can work almost anywhere they want to work. There's really no limit once you have your RN. Opportunities are open. And if you want to go on for further education, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, advanced practice, you can earn a lot of good money doing that. We're certainly in need of nurse practitioners and nurse anesthetists, and their earning potential goes up quite significantly. So it is by far a fantastic field to get into because once you have the degree, the pathways you can take are innumerable. You can care for clients at the bedside, you can work in education, you can work in a healthcare organization like Capital Blue Cross or something like that and never really work hands-on with patients. There's a lot you can do with an RN degree once you have it. Again, why would you choose HACS RN program? Well, we have been here for almost 60 years. It'll be 60 years in May. And in that time, we have become established as one of Central Pennsylvania's most sought after graduates for nursing. In terms of our local facilities, whether it be Penn State or whether it be UPMC or Geisinger or any of those, WellSpan, they know our nursing graduates. They know the quality of education they receive at HAC. And many of the people working in those facilities making these decisions are HAC grads. And they understand that when they hire a HAC grad, they know the quality that they're getting. And we have heard from a lot of our facility partners that they will hire a HAC grad over a bachelor's prepared nurse simply because of the quality of the education and the ability a HAC grad has to begin working right away. So we just want you to know that we are very proud of our program. We're not the only RN program, and if we're not the right fit for you, I certainly don't want you to choose HAC's nursing program, but I do believe in it strongly, and I do think it is a fantastic nursing program as it relates to how we educate and then the quality of the care you give at the end of it. So let's look at some of the specific nursing program pathways. Again, the end result is always the same, an Associates of Science in Nursing with the opportunity to sit for your RN licensure. One of the ways you can get there is the 4-semester traditional program. This does take 4 semesters, but it only uses fall and spring semesters. It does not have courses in the summer. And if you are accepted into the traditional program, unless you were to transfer to another program, you would not be able to take nursing courses in the summer to shorten your journey. You would take them in fall and spring with the pathway that all the other traditional students take. Pretty much on every campus, class in the traditional program runs 2 days a week. And clinical experiences, when you're in the hospital and you're caring for patients and so on, runs 2 days a week as well. So the end result is a time commitment of about 4 days a week in the traditional program. 2 of them are in class, 2 of them are in clinical. The class days will vary based on campus, but the time will always be during the daytime. So the classes occur during the day. Clinical experiences, the ones where you're in the hospital caring for clients, do not only occur during the day. They can be day hours like 7 to 3, but we also need to utilize evening hours in the traditional program as well for clinical. So you might have clinical from 2 to 9 or 3 to 10 or something like that. So the traditional program is not a day only program. Classes are during the day, but the clinical experiences could be day or evening. So I just want you to be clear on that. It is not a day only. It is a day evening traditional program. All right. Now, in terms of what the sequencing looks like, again, this table is here. The black are the nursing courses. If you're accepted into the traditional program, these are not transferable. These are the semesters you will follow in the program. And you can see that if you start in fall, which is the next time we're taking 4-semester traditional students, if you start in fall, you will graduate in May of 2026 from the traditional program. So fall and spring, and you will graduate in May 2026. You have one summer in there where you will have no nursing courses. Summers then can be times where you take some of your gen eds, because if you don't have these specific gen eds finished, they do allow you then in summer to get some of those out of the way. As I mentioned, Biology 121 is that hard stop. You do need to have that finished before fall to begin the nursing program in fall. You can see here that Biology 122 needs to be done sometime before your 3rd semester, Nursing 240, and Biology 221 does need to be taken before your final semester. So there are a couple of stops there as well, but they're in your 3rd and 4th semester, so you do have some time to get those in. Classes like English and math and comm, they can be taken anywhere in the program as long as you're done by May of 2026. You will graduate on time. So that's the way the traditional program would flow. Your nursing courses would be here in the fall and spring, and your gen eds could be spread out as you see fit or as you need to get those done. Questions about the traditional program? Okay. We do offer a part-time day-only option, and that's at the York campus only. It is an 8-semester program, consecutive semesters, 8 in a row. Okay. Classes are typically about 1 day a week, and clinicals can be 1 to 2 days a week. As you can see here, classes are during the week, during the daytime, and clinical experiences are every other weekend. And so that gives some people whose schedules don't allow for sort of during the week clinicals because of family or work obligations to possibly get to their clinical experiences on the weekend. So this 8-semester day program is offered York and does give you the day opportunity only for classes and clinical. The 8-semester evening is a true evening program. It is offered at all 4 campuses. It does include summers. Typically, class is 1 day a week and clinical is 1 day a week. So 2 days a week of commitment for the evening program, whereas the traditional program is 4 days a week. Classes will always begin at 4 p.m. or after for the evening program, and clinicals will always begin at 3 p.m. or after for the evening program. So therefore, we have a true evening only. Nothing will happen before 3 p.m. for clinical, and nothing will happen before 4 p.m. for class. Again, this is at all 4 campuses for the evening option. And here's what that pathway looks like. Finishing Biology 121 before you start nursing courses. And then you will take 3 nursing courses in your first semester, 2 in the next. Notice that if you remember what the 4-semester traditional look like, you took all 5 of these in the first semester. All we've done for the 8-semester program is split it in half. And then in the second semester of the traditional program, you took these 2 together. Now we split them into 2 separate semesters. So the biggest difference is it just takes 8 semesters instead of 4 because we split the semesters up in half. Now, what I do want to point out here that's very important with the 8-semester evening and the 8-semester day, these part-time programs. If you are dependent upon financial aid to pay for your schooling, so federal financial aid, they require you to take a minimum of 6 credits in order to qualify for part-time financial aid. So if you don't take at least 6 credits in the semester, you don't qualify for part-time financial aid. Well, take a look here at the nursing courses in black. They don't add up to 6. There's 5 in this semester, 4 in this semester, 5, 4.5, and so on. So as you see, in no semester do you ever add up to the minimum 6 credits to get part-time financial aid. That is why spreading out your gen eds would be essential if you're dependent upon financial aid, because you need to get to that 6 credits to get part-time financial aid. So if you have all of your gen eds done and you are looking at the 8 semester evening program, just realize that financial aid will not cover those nursing courses because you don't get to 6 credits. So you're going to have to find a different way or a different program that might be a better fit. Now, if financial aid is not essential to you, or you do have the gen eds that you can spread out throughout the program, then you don't have to worry about that. But I just want you to be aware that this is not ideal if you have all your gen eds done and you're dependent upon financial aid. Questions about the evening program or the 8 semester part-time programs? Michelle, any insight onto any of that for the students, since you are a evening program student?
I don't know if I think you said it, but like I said, a lot of it, none of it does start before 4, which is great because of getting there from our actual full-time jobs. But it is a lot of commitment still, even though it's only 2 days a week. It's a lot more hours than in the classroom and at clinical.
Very good. Any questions about
I have
myself?
a
Go ahead.
question.
Yeah.
So with the traditional 4 semester program, with the clinical aspect, so there's the days where you're at the clinicals and days where you're in the classroom. Are some of those nursing classes that you're in the classroom, or is that just the gen eds that you're talking about in the classroom?
Those are nursing classes in the classroom.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's 2 days of clinical and then 2 days of nursing classes?
Typically in the
Okay.
traditional program. Yep.
Without the gen eds?
Correct.
Okay, that
Yep.
was where I was
Yep.
losing it. Okay,
Yep.
so it's like a 4-day thing if you're done with the gen eds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And that's pretty consistent across all campuses. The days of the week might vary a little bit. Like here on the Harrisburg campus, for most semesters, our traditional program meets on Monday and Wednesday, and then they have clinical experiences on Tuesday, Thursday. So they're here
Okay.
on campus Monday, Wednesday, they're in clinical Tuesday, Thursday. Now, other campuses do it a little different. Their clinical days may be, Monday and Tuesday, and they have got Wednesday, Thursday classes or something like that. But generally speaking, 2 days a week of in-class nursing, and then 2 days a week of at the clinical site experiences.
Okay, and then the days of the week that you're in the classroom, is that still 7 to 8 hours, or is that that's just like a class?
2 to 3
type of day?
hours typically.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
just with work and children, it's like, trying to
You got to balance it somehow.
schedule
I
it.
know. You
Yeah.
do. You do.
That sounds good to me though. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else right now?
Yes. How likely are you to get into the clinical placements near your location where you live?
We'll talk about, how about I hold off on that, answering that question for a couple slides. We do talk about the application and selection process, and I'll very clearly tell you how we do it. It's not a secret. So if you hold off just a little bit, I'll try to answer that in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question. Just so I'm understanding correctly, so the LPN and the RN, if you do the traditional RN program, they typically both take 2 years?
The LPN takes 15 months, 4 consecutive semesters. The traditional RN program takes, as you can see, for fall, it's a fall, spring, and then you have the summer off, and then another fall, spring. So that's like 5 semesters instead of 4. I mean, we call it a 4 semester program because you're only in the program for 4 semesters, but it takes 5 semesters to finish because you don't take anything in summer as far as nursing courses go. So it all depends on the timing of those things, but the PN program is always 15 consecutive months.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. So I'm going to talk quickly about the weekend program. This is a very popular program. The weekend option program is a 4 semester program, but it is the only 4 semester program offered that does consecutive semesters, just like the PN program. So it is the quickest way to get done at HAC in the nursing program. It does include summer courses. It's only available at the Harrisburg campus. Class is 1 day a week, Fridays, for most semesters, with the exception of Thursdays in the summer. And that's because, again, HAC as a college closes in the summer on Fridays. So we can't hold classes on Fridays in the summer. So Fridays for your fall and spring semesters, Thursdays for your summer. And then class times are going to be long because you're only meeting 1 day a week, but it's still a 4 semester program. We've taken those 2 days a week of class, the normal, let's say Monday, Wednesday class, and we have to do them all on Friday. So you're there for a very long 6 to 8 hours on Fridays or Thursdays. And then your clinical experiences will be on Saturdays and or Sundays. So you will have in the first semester class on Fridays all day, and then clinical on Saturdays all day. And then once you get to future semesters, you'll have class on Fridays all day, and you'll have clinical on Saturday and Sunday. So it is a Friday, Saturday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend experience. Okay. Clinicals, again, can be long, and it can include both day and evening clinical, depending upon the site and the semester. So weekend program, Fridays, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursdays, Saturday, Sunday, as we go through the semesters. This is what this looks like. Again, the next time the weekend program starts is in the fall semester. So you need to have your Biology 121 done before you start the nursing courses. The black courses follow this sequence. They can't be moved. And so you'll take the 5 140s in fall, your 150s in spring, your 240s in summer, and your 250s in fall, and you will graduate in December of 2025. If you remember back to the traditional program, that's 1 semester faster than the traditional program. Their graduation was May of 2026, and that's because they did not take nursing courses in the summer. The 4 semester weekend program does take nursing courses in the summer. Okay, so that's the layout and the pathway of the weekend program. Any questions about that at all? All of our 4 semester programs, whether it be the weekend or the traditional or the PN, they do add up to at least 6 credits with just nursing courses, as you can see. So in terms of financial aid, if you're in one of the 4 semester programs or the PN program, you will always qualify for at least part-time financial aid with just your nursing courses. Okay. So it's only our 8 semester part-time programs that have that difficulty. In terms of cost, I am not going to go into details today, but this is a direct link out to a HAC PDF that breaks down the costs for the RN program, the PN program. It gives you everything from tuition to the course fees to the clinical fees to things like a stethoscope or the uniform cost. So you can really see everything that you potentially would pay for in the nursing program if you were to start from scratch. So this link will take you right there. I'm going to allow you to kind of search that yourself. If you have any questions or concerns about those things, you can always reach out to me and let me know. In terms of most of the costs, they do come in the first semester because that's when you're purchasing your books, that's when you're purchasing your uniforms, your lab bags, and things like that. So most of your costs are in that first semester. We do utilize the same books in the PN program and in the RN program. So if you buy them for the PN and go on to the RN, they're still good. If you buy them in your first semester of the RN, they're good for all 4 semesters. You don't buy new books every semester. It's one purchase of books for the entire program. So again, the benefits are you don't have to keep buying things throughout the program. The downside is all those costs do come up front in the first semester. We do utilize computer-based testing at HAC's nursing program. So what that means is when you sit down to take a classroom exam, it will be on the computer. And that's to help you get prepared because your licensure exam, the NCLEX, is a computer-based test. And so therefore, we want to give you as much experience taking computerized testing as possible to help get you ready for that. Because of that, the HAC nursing program does require students to have a laptop, whether it be a Mac or a PC, some type of laptop in order to take your nursing exams. So if that's something that you don't have, but you're considering the nursing program, once you're accepted, you may want to consider purchasing a laptop. It is something that the bookstore sells. You can use financial aid for. It is not something that you have to pay directly right out of pocket. If you do have trouble purchasing a laptop, the HAC as a college does have a PC loan program. They may be able to let you borrow one. So there are opportunities for this, but I just want you to understand that we do ask you to have a laptop for testing when it comes to your nursing courses. All right, so let's start with the PN requirements for admission, and then we'll do the RN. So we mentioned or had mentioned the TEAS exam. The TEAS exam is a national exam of academic skills. Different programs across the country utilize this exam. It is overseen by a company called ATI. It is not just our exam. Here at HAC, we're not the only program that uses it. Dental hygiene uses the TEAS exam for admission criteria. Nursing programs across the country use TEAS. There are lots of healthcare programs that utilize the TEAS for acceptance. The reason for that is it tests you in the main areas that we think are important to have some knowledge, which would be reading, mathematics, science, and English language usage. So it tests you on those 4 key areas. It is a 170 item multiple choice test. It is graded on a percentage. In order for you to qualify and be allowed to apply to our RN program, you need a T score of 70 or higher. In order to qualify for our PN program, you need a T score of 60 or higher. You can take the TEAS exam as many times as your finances allow. It does cost something to take the TEAS. We do offer the TEAS testing through the HAC campuses, but they don't have to be taken here at HAC. TEAS can be taken at another facility. If you take it through the HAC campus, at some point they're going to ask you, is this for nursing or allied health? It doesn't matter which one you choose. It's the same TEAS exam, and your scores will still count. So just know that it doesn't really matter which one you choose. It's going to work either way. There is a direct link here for some more information on the TEAS. So if you have some questions about that or you want to go out and look at some more information, click on that link and it'll take you directly to where you need to go. HAC does offer TEAS preparation free of charge to students. We have tutoring for TEAS. We have TEAS study groups and resources and FAQs all available through the library website. Okay, here is a link that will take you out to that. You can see here that they have a weekly Thursday session for study group for TEAS preparation. They offer one-on-one tutoring for TEAS. They offer specific sessions Again, all of this is available to you free of charge as a Hack student. If you have any questions or need anything about this, again, this direct link will take you right out to the TEAS page. Okay, so you just want to go right out to the TEAS page, right at that link, and that'll take you there. All right. We are currently accepting only version 7. All right. TEAS has been in the process of transitioning from version 6 to version 7 over the last 2 years. With the fall 2023 application cycle, which is passed, that was when we moved from version 6 to version 7. So just make sure if you're taking the TEAS, you are taking version 7 of the TEAS. We won't accept version 6 scores. Kristen, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes. So how long should you allow for like studying for the TEAS before taking it? You know what I mean? Like when should you start? You know, do you
Good question.
allow 6 weeks, 6 months?
I have a personal thought about that. This is just me.
Yeah.
It's not anything written in gold or anything. But what I would recommend a student do is knowing ATI, they're a company that wants to see you succeed. So what happens is when you take the TEAS exam, they provide a breakdown of your TEAS exam. They tell you where you did well. They tell you where you did not do well. They give you specific areas to remediate on in order to improve your score. So my recommendation personally to students is to take it once. Just take it. See how you did. If you're super good in the science and the math areas and it's only the English that is your weak area, then focus on that. If you're weak all the way across the board, okay, now you have a little bit of work to do. But take it, if your finances allow, take it, see how you did, look at the report, see what ATI tells you to work on, and then spend some time remediating and relearning that content so that when you take it the second time, your score goes up. We've done data analysis because we've had students that have taken it 15, 16, 17 times. I mean, crazy amounts of attempts. All our data shows that there's always outliers, but historically, a student's second or third attempt is their best score, no matter how many times they take it. Their second or their third attempt is their best score. After that, it starts to go downhill, even if they take it 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. So I recommend students take it, learn from the first try, and then take it a second time. The chances are that second time after you fix what was broken the first time, your score will go significantly up, and chances are that will probably be one of your best, if not your best scores, even if you take it 10 more times.
Okay. And how long in between the tests can you take it, like once, and then how long do you have to wait?
Hack does not have a requirement. Some colleges and universities do have a spacing requirement. I believe Hack ATI recommends, somebody might be able to correct me on this, 45 days in between testing, but that's ATI's recommendation. It's not required.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about TEAS?
Yes. Can you take your TEAS and then decide which program you want to go for, whether it be the LPN or RN based on your score?
Of course.
Okay. So
absolutely.
So you can still apply for like in the spring I could still do the pre-health and like take some of my gen eds or something, and then obviously do the biology. Okay. Yep. And then take the TEAS. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Mark, there was a question in the chat, and I don't have the answer to it. It says first of all, I do recommend what you said about the testing. That's what I did. I took it, didn't study at all. And then I was able to focus and I did get like a tutor just to help, so I could organize information, but that's what I did, Kristen. Okay, and this is, how do we send the TEAS scores? Does it go with our application? On the TEAS information site, it takes you to another site to find the TEAS test dates. I struggled to find where the dates actually are for my hack guidance. I mean, I know I put mine on the application itself, but that's the only part of that I know.
I would, why don't you email me and I'll see what I can figure out about. I know that they're always adding dates. That's one of the biggest things. Like they put out a set of dates for the TEAS testing, and then they fill up relatively quickly, and then they need to put out more dates, and sometimes they don't do that as timely. So let me see if I can get an answer to that. But if you email me, that'll remind me to look into that. Good questions. Anything else? I know TEAS is a scary thing. It doesn't need to be, okay? Again, we have resources here. We want you to succeed. And honestly, if you put a little bit of time in, I think TEAS will be something that is not a roadblock for you to be getting into this program. Okay. So as it relates to application for the PN program, basically what you're asking yourself is, are you done with high school? Are you at least 18 years of age or older? Have you finished Biology 121 before, or will you finish Biology 121 before the start of your nursing courses? Is your T score a 60 or higher? And do you have an overall GPA at HAC of 2.5 or higher? If the answer to that is yes, you're ready to apply. Okay, so you can fill out the application based upon these things. When we give you a points, because that's what we use for the selection process, a total points. You see that all your points are made up of your TEAS exam. Okay, so at least a 60 up to a potential of 100%, right? So 60 to 100 for your points. We will award you certain amount of points for any further education you may have received based on this table. So if you're a certified nurse aide, you'll get an extra point. If you happen to be a current paramedic, you'll get 2 points. If you already have an associate's degree, you would earn 3 points. Now, what I want to point, what I want to point out, that was a bad pun, is that these points are not cumulative. You don't earn 5 points for a master's, plus 4 points for a bachelor's, plus 3 points for an associate's degree, and suddenly you have 12 points. It is the highest total that we can give you. So if you have a master's and everything else on the list, you're only going to get 5 points. If you have your associate's degree and you are a current paramedic, you're only going to get 3 points, not 5. Okay. So the max amount of additional points you can earn is 5, but those will be added to your T score and you will be competing for a spot with that total. So 60 or higher on the T's plus any additional points will give you what you're competing with in terms of your total score. Once you've applied, and once you've been selected for a PN spot, you need to make sure your HAC GPA stays at 2.5 or higher before nursing courses start. You have to make sure that all your developmental Englishes are done and out of the way. You don't have to take English 101, but you have to be ready to take English 101. You have to have completed or placed beyond developmental math 080 in order to qualify. And you will, as I said already, have to have finished Biology 121. If the answer to any of those is a no, you won't be ready to start in the fall semester. Okay. So you need to keep your GPA up. You need to get through your developmentals, and you need to make sure that Biology 121 is finished. All right. Questions about the PN requirements before I move on to RN? They're very, very similar. I just want you to know you're not going to see a whole lot new here. So the RN, guess what? All the same questions with one exception. Is your T-score 70 or higher instead of 60? All the same criteria apply. Have to be a high school graduate, have to be 18 or older, have to have a 2.5 GPA. The difference being your T-score has to be a minimum of 70 to apply. Okay, so that's the application for the RN. Again, 70 points or higher plus the same table for additional points, meaning the max you could be competing with is 105. The minimum you could be competing with is 70. Okay, so 70 to 105. Same question. What happens that might keep me out of my acceptance? Keep your GPA up, be through all of your developmental English and math classes, and make sure your biology 121 is finished. If all of that is true and you've been accepted, you're ready to start. If any of those are not true, you'll have to wait until a future semester. Okay? Is there guaranteed admission for the RN program? There is. So all guaranteed admission means, and this will make a little more sense in a couple slides when I talk about the actual application and selecting your priorities. But guaranteed admission means that whatever campus and whatever nursing program, day, weekend, evening, whatever, if that's the one you want and you meet this criteria, you will be guaranteed a spot in that program. Okay. So you're not competing for a spot, you're guaranteed to start. Okay. So what's the criteria? Everything is the same, except that these things have to be done when you apply. They can't be in progress. So your developmental English and math has to be already done when you apply. You can't be in a developmental English or math when you apply to get guaranteed admission. Your biology 121 has to already be finished with a C or better when you apply to be considered for guaranteed admission. If you're currently taking it when you apply, that is not guaranteed admission. And you need a T-score of 88 or greater. So if you have a T-score of 88 or higher, and the rest of this is true of you, when you apply, you will have guaranteed admission to the campus and program of your choice. Okay. Questions about that? All right, so let's quickly move through what you need to prepare to be ready for clinicals. In terms of the application dates, they're here. The next application cycle is going to be for the summer semester, okay? The summer semester starts on the York campus only. So York is accepting applications in January through March for its summer 2024 start. Remember, at the York campus, they only offer an 8-semester day and an 8-semester evening option. So if the York campus and the part-time program interests you, applications will open on January 15th and they'll close on March 11th. All right. We ask that you take your T's 2 days before the applications close so that we get your score. If we don't have your score by the time the applications close, we can't use that score. The next time after summer would, of course, be the fall 2024 semester. And this is where we're accepting the most amount of our applicants. We have 4-semester traditional programs that we'll be accepting at Harrisburg, Lancaster, and Gettysburg. And we also include the 4-semester weekend option at Harrisburg as well. We'll be starting a cohort of students in the 4-semester traditional at these 3 campuses, plus a cohort of students in the weekend at Harrisburg in fall. The 8-semester evening option will be beginning at Lancaster and Gettysburg in the fall, not at Harrisburg, but at Lancaster and Gettysburg in the fall. And all 3 of our PN campuses, Harrisburg, Lancaster, and York, will also be beginning in fall of 2024. So you can see that in fall of 2024, we're starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cohorts of students. So 9 groups of students will be beginning nursing programs in fall. They won't all be traveling along the same pathway, right? But they'll all be starting in that fall semester. If you are applying for the RN program on any of these options, applications open on April 1st and they close on May 11th. Okay, so you have to apply within that basic 6-week window, April 1st to May 11th. All right. If you are interested in the PN program, the biggest difference is it closes a couple weeks after the RN. Now, here's the reason why. Let's say you applied to the RN program with a T-score of 70 or 71. And as you're going to understand the application and how we make sure everybody gets to where they're supposed to go, maybe you weren't selected for an RN program because your score wasn't competitive enough. You still have 3 weeks to then apply for the PN program and be accepted into a PN program. And if you finish the PN program, remember, it stacks directly into the RN program, and you can finish your RN after the PN in as little as 2 semesters. So for those students who maybe were not selected for an RN spot, but would consider a PN pathway, maybe then bridging right into the RN program, we give you a couple extra weeks to fill out that application. So the RN program is open from April 1st to May 11th. The PN is open from April 1st to June 1st. Spring of 2025, I know that's a long way away because we've already selected the spring of 24 class, but the spring of 2025 will start traditional programs at Harrisburg, Lancaster, and Gettysburg. No weekend will start because that only starts in the fall. And the evening programs will start at Harrisburg and Lancaster, not at Gettysburg. So it's Harrisburg and Lancaster in the spring. Those applications will open on August 1st and they will close on September 22nd. So when you apply, you have to apply by the deadline. We do not accept late admissions. The application is an online Cognito form application. It's very self-explanatory. The link to the applications are on the RN page and the PN page of HACC. So if you go to the RN page, this is the link that'll take you to the RN page. It has a lot of information on it, not just the link to the application, but here's the RN link and here's the PN link. When you click on those and it's an open application period, at the top portion of the screen, right around the first couple inches, will be a direct link to the application. And it'll say, if you're applying for the fall 2024 semester, click this link. And you'll click the link and it'll take you to the application and you can fill it out. Okay. There is no link there right now because we're not in an open application period. But come January 15th, when we start accepting applications for the summer York programs, there will be a link there. Okay. Now, let me take just a couple minutes to discuss what I think is really critical for you to understand. And this is when you fill out your application, how do you select the programs that you want to go to? Because if there is one thing that keeps students from being accepted into programs, it's how they fill out the application, because that's the only way we know what you're thinking. So when you fill out the application, partway down around question 15 or so is going to be a section that says prioritize the campus and programs you're interested in attending. And every available option will be there. So for the RN program in fall, you will see the Harrisburg 4-semester traditional. You'll see the Harrisburg 4-semester weekend. You'll see the Lancaster 4-semester traditional. You'll see the Gettysburg 4-semester traditional, and so on. Every option will be listed there. You put a priority number, with 1 being the highest, next to the number or the program in the campus that you are most interested in attending. And then if you would consider a second campus and program, or even a second program within the campus, you put that as number 2, and so on. Okay? The more selections you make, the better your chances of being selected. If you make one option and you don't have the score to support that option, you may not get accepted into a clinical position. Okay. So you notice here that there's something called an alternate. It will be an option that you can prioritize as a separate choice. What I want you to understand about alternate is it is a waiting list. Okay. Meaning, if you're selected for the alternate status based on your rankings, you go onto a waiting list. And if a spot opens up in the actual clinical program, you'll be taken. If no spot opens, you will not be accepted into the program. It's a chance. It's not a guarantee. Okay. Well, why would somebody take an alternate over an actual clinical position? Well, this is where your selections matter. Okay. Let's say you started to rank your priorities for fall. Your first choice is Harrisburg Traditional. Your second choice you put in as Harrisburg Traditional Alternate. And then you put in the evening, and then you put in the evening alternate. So here's how it works. At the end of the application cycle, right? In this case, I think we said it was May 11th. Once applications close, we will put a list of all of the applicants from top to bottom. The person with the highest points goes at the top. The person with the lowest points goes on the bottom. And then we start at the top of the list. And we say the person with the highest points, what was their first choice? Is there a spot in that campus and program for them to go to? Well, of course there is, because nobody else has been moved on to them yet. So, okay, that's where they're going. Number 2 on the list, where did they want to go? Okay, put them there. Number 3 on the list. Okay. Number 4 on the list. Okay. And we just keep moving down the list, filling up our cohorts until we reach the maximum amount of accepted students. Once we reach the maximum amount of accepted students, there's no more space. Then we start looking at people's second choices because their first choice is full. So now we can't put them in their first choice. So what's their second choice? So here's why it matters. If you put in Harrisburg 4-semester traditional, and then your second choice was traditional alternate, and then your third choice was evening, if, let's just say for argument's sake, because we take 64 students into the traditional program, that's how large the cohort is, you're number 65 on the list. And for the sake of argument, all 64 people above you all picked Harrisburg Traditional. So we get to you at 65 and your first choice is full. Well, now we're going to look at your second choice. Your second choice is Traditional Alternate. There's nobody on that list, so that's where you're going to go. Even though your third choice was an actual clinical program that you would be accepted into and be able to start clinicals and start nursing courses, you told us that was your third choice. When we got to your name, your second choice was free. So that's where you're going to go. So that's why your selections matter so much. Because if you put in a selection, we're going to follow what you said. So you want to make sure you are ranking those things wisely. If the weekend program is your go-to no matter what, your work schedule or your life schedule says the weekend program is really where I want to be, then I understand making the Harrisburg weekend your first choice and the weekend alternate your second choice. I understand that because you'd want that really badly. But if just getting into a clinical program matters more than a specific program, make the alternates a lower choice. Rank the actual programs higher and put the alternates lower. That way, if you don't get into your first program, you still might get into your second program. Here's the other reason this matters. We see, and this is such a shame, but we see students who make these selections, and sometimes they only fill out 1 or 2 options. This is how students don't get selected because their program choice is already full and they made no additional selections. So if we get to you at number 65 and your only option was the Harrisburg traditional program, you didn't rank anything else, and that's full, if you have no other things put in, you're not being selected for the fall semester. And so you don't get picked. And then you start talking to other people and they're like, well, I had a total score of 72 and I got into clinical. How come you didn't get in with a score of 77? It has to do with your selection. And it has to do with the fact that when we got to your name, your only selection was full. So please pick these selections wisely. Put as many campuses and as many programs as you would reasonably be able to attend. If you're living in Upper Dauphin County and you don't want to drive to Lancaster, I don't blame you. Don't put it in there. We won't select you for it. But if you do live somewhere like you live in York and you're like, I can go to York or Harrisburg, okay, put them in, right? Or whatever the option is. So just think about it and make the decision based on that. When you are selected, when you get an acceptance email, it will tell you the campus and the program that you were selected for. It will always be based on at least one of your choices. You won't ever be selected for something you didn't sign up for. If you get that acceptance email, that is the campus and program you were selected for based on your score. If it's not your first choice, you have an option. Two options. Option one, you can decline your seat and you can say, I don't want that campus and program anymore. I put it in there, but now I'm not really sure I want to go there. You can decline it. And that means you won't start in fall and you'll need to reapply in a future semester and compete again. Or you can accept the position at that campus and program. And then after one semester of attending successfully, you can submit a request to transfer. And if there is space available at the campus and program you would really like to attend, we'll move you to that campus and program after one semester of attending successfully. So you do have the option to take the spot, let's say at the York campus for one semester, and then try to transfer to Harrisburg if that is available. So the idea is you can either take it and live with it for one semester until you're able to transfer, or you can decline it and give up the seat to somebody else. Okay, but those are your options once you're selected. Here's when you will receive acceptance emails. We're really good about sticking to these dates. So accepted students for summer will receive their email on March 15th. Accepted students for fall RN will receive their letter on May 16th. Students accepted into the PN program on June 6th, and then, of course, the following spring on September 27th. You get an email either way. If you aren't selected, you'll also get an email that says that on that date. But otherwise, if you are selected, you will get an email on that date. And in it will be all the information you possibly could ask for to start to think about what's coming. All right. Quick pause. I know we could take a break, but I've only got maybe 6 more slides, so we're just going to finish early. But do you guys have any questions for me or the other students before I finish this little bit? Anything I didn't answer for you that would be helpful?
Mark, there was a question about how many people do you take at each time for each semester?
Great question.
And the acceptance rate.
Yep. So to answer your question, simply put, there's 2 ways you can find that out. I'm going to share it with you. So that's way number 1. But number 2 is if you go to the RN page or the PN page of HAC, on that web page will be statistics, including how many applied, T-scores, and all of that were accepted. It's all out there for public review. As well as if you look at the admissions criteria on those pages, there's a link for an admissions document that details all the dates and everything I just shared with you. It also has a list of all of the numbers per cohort that we take with each semester. So all of that's provided out there on the RN and PN page. A simple rule of thumb is for our 4-semester traditional programs, our cohort is 64 students. For our part-time programs, the cohort is 32 students. And for the weekend program, the cohort is 24 students. So 64 for the traditional, 32 for the part-time, and 24 for the weekend. 64 for the PN as well. So that's the amount of students. In terms of acceptance, of the students who applied and were qualified, meaning that they finished their 121 and their mass, their developmental mass and their GPA and all of that. So from the point of those that applied and then were qualified, those that were accepted, I believe we were this past spring at 94% or something like that. So 94% of students who applied were selected. Maybe not to their first choice, but to at least a campus and program where they could start if they wanted to. That's a good question. Anything else?
I did answer somebody's question, but I want to make sure I answered it correctly.
You did. You did.
I did. Okay. All right.
Yep. The question was, if I apply later, but within the deadline, are you considered the same as day one? We don't even look at anything until after the applications close. So there's no list, there's no filling of the list until after the day the applications close. So it doesn't matter whether you apply on day one or you apply on day 0, right? The last day. It makes no difference. We won't consider anything until the applications are closed. Good question. Anything else? Okay. So in terms of program requirements, I just share these with you so you know a little bit about what you're getting into. Once you apply, a lot more information will be provided to you about how you go through all of these and what's the steps and everything. But we do have to have background checks on file. That's a State Board of Nursing and a facility requirement. So the background checks that you'll be required to do are a PA criminal history records check, which is the old Pennsylvania State Police background check. You'll have to do an FBI fingerprint check, and you'll have to do a child abuse history clearance. Those 3 clearances are done annually at HAC. So you'll do one in your first year and you'll do one in your second year for sure. And the 8-semester program, you may have to renew one more time. All right. There are some disqualifying criminal histories that would keep you from starting in nursing. There is a prohibitive offense procedure out on hack.edu that you can search, which details some of those charges that would show up that would keep you from being able to enter the nursing program. The reason for that is because the state has said with those specific charges, they won't give you a nursing license. And if you won't get a nursing license, there's no reason to go through nursing school, because if you can't test for licensure, there's no reason to pay the money to become an educated nurse without the license. So we follow what the state says. So if you have questions about that, I would recommend you reach out to myself, one of the other campus directors, or go to hack.edu for a little bit more information about that. Now, in terms of physical requirements, we do have a physical form that gets filled out at the beginning of your program. It only needs to be done once. It does document all of your vaccinations. It documents your health status and just says that you're able to physically, emotionally, psychologically, visually meet the requirements of the program. Those essential qualifications are out on hack.edu on the RN and PN page as well, if you want to read through those to see if you meet those. But those are all out there as well. COVID vaccinations, we still hold whatever standard our clinical facility partners have given us. Some facilities have relaxed their COVID standards to the point where they don't require them anymore. Some facilities are still saying that they want students to have either a COVID vaccination or a HAC-approved exemption. So what we have to say based on that is whatever the clinical sites require, we require. And so that means for most students, either a COVID vaccination, proof of vaccination, no boosters or anything like that is required, or a HAC-approved exemption. And there's details about how to obtain a HAC-approved exemption. But if you have one of those 2 things, then you will most likely have no issues going through the nursing program here at HAC. You do get a annual drug and alcohol screen. Okay. We do want you to just be aware that because of the discrepancy between state and federal law as it relates to medical marijuana or marijuana usage, the federal government still has it classified as a substance that cannot be used in the ways that the state allows. And because HAC does receive federal money through forms of grants and other things, it does not allow students to be in a health careers program and on medical marijuana. So that would not be an approved medication to be on while in the nursing program, just so you're aware of that. Now, finally, you're thinking about nursing school, you're thinking about beginning a great career, which it is. I'm a HAC grad. I went through the nursing program at HAC. I started working in the emergency department at Harrisburg Hospital, worked there for 11 years, started to do clinical with HAC as an adjunct, and then went to full time, and now I'm the director. So I've kind of just taken step by step through. And one of the reasons I chose HAC, quite honestly, was because I already had a bachelor's degree, and I thought it would be quick and easy, and I needed a career that I could be stable in. And so that's why I came here. But in terms of you guys and what you're thinking about, I just want you to know that you have a right to ask good questions about your nursing program because they're not all created equal. And so I just want to provide you with some things that you would want to know about the nursing program that you're being accepted at because or applying to because it does matter. Of course, you want them to be accredited, which HAC is, just so you know, but you want accreditation for your nursing program that would allow you to transfer these credits then to a bachelor's degree or something like that. If you go to a nursing program that's not accredited, most likely none of your credits will transfer for anything. And so therefore you're going to be starting for a bachelor's or something like that all over again, which would be quite unfortunate. So something to think about. One of the things you'd want to ask yourself is, or ask the program, is the completion rate. What that means is how many students that start the program actually finish the program, right? Because we could take 1,000 students, but if only 20 of them finish, that's a terrible, right? Completion rate. And for the 980 students who didn't finish, it didn't help them at all. So completion rates matter. And I just want you to know HAC does have an excellent, excellent completion rate across all 4 campuses. 80% of our students who start the program finish within 3 years, which means that for a variety of reasons, students do step out of programs. Maybe it's health related, maybe it's family related, financial, maybe it's because they didn't pass a course, but they do come back and they do finish. And so about 80% of our students complete within 3 years, which is quite honestly for a community. I know you don't have anything to compare it to, but for a community college, it's a great statistic, quite honestly. Some of our community college partners across the state struggle with this, and they're as low as maybe 50 or 60% of their students finish within 3 years. So 80% is a really good number. Another thing to think about is how many students pass NCLEX on the first attempt. It's a statistic that the state uses to judge nursing programs. We have to stay above 80% of our first time test takers passing, or we get disciplined from the state for a nursing program. So you want your nursing program, wherever you go, to have at least an 80% first time pass rate or higher. Here at HAC right now, last year, across the entire year, we were at 84%, which is a bit lower than we would like. We'll be perfectly honest. I want to be transparent with you. That's low. But the reason it dropped, we believe, is a lot to do with COVID and a lot to do with the education that came from transitioning to a fully online, which is really not what nursing is set up to do. And so I think we struggled a little bit with that. Most nursing programs across the state and across the nation struggled with that. We were able to keep our pass rates within the mid 80s. And honestly, from last year, even moving into this year, here on the Harrisburg campus, our May grads are at a 96% pass rate right now. So just in one semester, we've jumped quite significantly up into the mid 90s now. So I have every reason to think that number is going to continue to come up, but we're right now right around 84% for first time pass rate. The PN, as I said, is the highest in the state. We're at 95% first time pass rates for our PN program. So no issues with that whatsoever. Cost is a big thing. I understand that. And it was one of the reasons I chose Hack. I want you to know that if you start the program with nothing whatsoever, no credits, no anything, and you just are starting from scratch, it costs about $25,000 for the entire RN program. Now, that being said, that's a lot of money. I totally understand that. But what you need to understand in part is $25,000 means, of course, all 2 years of your education and the fact that you'll then be able to go on and become a licensed RN, earning RN salary. And then you can choose to go back for your bachelor's degree. And if you choose to go back for your bachelor's degree, which most of our nurses do, most facilities are paying for that for you. And they will offer you money to finish your bachelor's degree. And it usually takes about 15 months or so, 18 months to finish your bachelor's degree after this. And when you do that, it doesn't cost you anything. So you are getting your RN associate's degree and your bachelor's in nursing for about $25,000. You would be hard pressed to do a semester at Messiah University for $25,000, let alone their entire nursing program with a bachelor's degree. So just something to think about. We're certainly not the cheapest program out there ever, but in terms of overall cost, I think we are very, very competitive, and especially with the quality of what you get, it's something to think about. Job placement, well, nurses are in need everywhere. We have 99+% of our grads are employed. Honestly, it says within 6 months because that's really where we start to gauge it. But most of our grads are employed even before they leave the school. They already have jobs lined up. They already have been accepted. They're just waiting to finish and pass their boards and start working. And then we have a lot of affiliation agreements with bachelor's programs, including Millersville and Harrisburg University, York College. We have things with Drexel and University of Phoenix and all kinds of different options, which allow students to gain full credits for everything here at Hack. And then, as I said, finish in as little as maybe 15 to 18 months at other universities. So something to think about there as well. That's everything I have. There are some links here, again, just to help you go out and find things. So I don't want you to struggle finding them. The links are here and they'll take you directly out to a lot of that information that I've been talking about through the program here. But that's everything I have for you. I really appreciate you guys listening, hanging in there. Anybody have any last questions for me? So in terms of, I'm reading this one, hold on. Fingerprint, pH, child abuse, physical records, are these due after? Yes, when you are accepted, part of your acceptance email, we set up an orientation and we go through an orientation with the newly accepted students, and I will cover all of that in orientation. What does it look like? Where do you go to get all these things? All of that information is provided after acceptance. I don't want anybody working on those things before they're accepted. So we'll do that after acceptance, okay? Once acceptance happens, is it attached to the email? Yes, that is exactly what happens. We send everything to you as part of that acceptance packet, and then through orientation, you'll be provided with everything else. So we don't want to leave you hanging, but we wait till you're actually accepted into the programs to start covering all of that, because it costs money and time, and we don't want you putting that in if for some reason you don't start or aren't able to start or something like that. Good questions. Anything else? Well, I greatly appreciate Michelle and Elizabeth being here with me today. Do you guys have anything left to share with a couple of students that stuck around? Anything I didn't cover that you think might be helpful for them to know before they apply?
No, I think you covered it all. And I'll just say, I mean, I'm older, I'm 40, and I actually went to Messiah before too. But it is a great program, and everybody is very helpful. The instructors, are great. Clinical experiences are definitely a learning experience, but I'm almost done. I have 3 more classes left, and I am very grateful that I went and did it.
Did you have any health care experience